Somebody better call 911 because we're about to have a slugfest in Baltimore. The Pittsburgh Steelers travel to M&T Bank Stadium to take on the hated Baltimore Ravens, the number 1 seed in the AFC playoffs. Welcome back to Mike Drub Sports, everybody. I'm Jason. Let's break down this Week 18 matchup and what the Steelers need to do in order to be successful. And let's talk about those playoff chances. Let's talk about players that will play, won't play, who's coming back from injury. So much to talk about ahead of this big-time matchup where the Pittsburgh Steelers are on absolute life support and need help from outside teams, but they need to take care of business. And their playoff hopes aren't dead yet. They're actually quite realistic. The Pittsburgh Steelers might get a little bit of a jolt in the middle of that defense with a Landon Roberts returning. Minkah Fitzpatrick's been questionable, but Patrick Peterson has been able to hold down that spot with his newfound way of playing in the NFL, not at cornerback, just moving back a little bit, learning how to play center field, learning how to just continue to be that ball hawk that he's been for his whole career. Patrick Peterson in 2 games already has 1 interception, and he's played really well. You haven't heard his name called a ton, but that's exactly what you want. You don't want to hear a DB's name get called throughout the game because that means they're doing their job and they're not getting scorched. The Pittsburgh Steelers, though, have been battling injury on that defense and have been able to hold it together, only allowing 19.6 yards per game, points per game. That's pretty big for a defense that's been beaten up. That is a little bit maybe overrated at times right now. They have just been searching for the right formula, and they've been able to hold it together enough to keep their team in football games. And now the Pittsburgh Steelers defense getting a possible return of a Landon Roberts who said he will play. That could be real big. That could be now something that could benefit the Steelers in the long run here if they do make the playoffs, having a Landon Roberts and an emerging Myles Jack that came off the couch just about a month ago. And now we see Myles Jack coming in and really playing some solid football for the Pittsburgh Steelers after a long absence from the game. Myles Jack coming in, providing that green dot type player. And that is special if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, and quite lucky to get a guy like Myles Jack that came in and has been able to hold a position together that has been decimated by injury. And then when you add back in Landon Roberts, a guy that's played lights out throughout the season, it gives you a little hope that the Pittsburgh Steelers can start to mend some of the wounds that they have on defense. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers on defense, what do you need to do special to control some of this stuff that the Baltimore Ravens like to do? Monken can get shit going, guys. He's an excellent offensive coordinator and has provided the Ravens a newfound way of playing offensive football. They have allowed Lamar Jackson to be super successful. So if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and now you're not going against Lamar Jackson, a guy in which you beat earlier in the season, but you're going against Snoop Huntley, and now what do you do to him? What does he like to do? He likes to throw that short to intermediate pass game. That's what he likes to lean on. He likes to lean on the run, lean on that short to intermediate game, and try to pick you apart and move the ball down the field. That's his game. That's what he does best. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, having a Landon Roberts back, having Myles Jack playing better, having a guy in center field like Patrick Peterson, if he's back there, makes a difference. And you're going to be able to sit on some of these routes. That's what you have to do. You have to take away that short to intermediate and dare Huntley to go over the top on you. That's what you have to do. You have to be willing to sacrifice that big play a little bit, not to allow Huntley to get in any type of rhythm. You have to totally disrupt him in that short to intermediate game. You have to sit on routes, bat balls down. You have to break up passes, and you can't allow him to get in any type of consistency. You have to make sure it's a messy pocket for him, and he doesn't have time to dissect that defense, especially in the middle. You can't allow that type of thing to happen. And if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, where do you need to have the pressure coming from? It has to be Cam Larry Ogunjobi, Keanu Benton. It has to be from those guys. They have to have the game of the year for them. Like, they really have to play well, in my opinion. They have to force that pocket into Huntley's lap. And that forces things to the edges for TJ and Alex, to where they can contain Huntley and contain and seal those edges. That is what they need to do. They need to force things out to their excellent, big-time playmakers. Maybe if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you add some speed at times with the addition of Nick Herbig, a guy that can drop back. Alex Highsmith too, but I'm saying about the speed. Maybe to force Huntley into TJ Watt. Maybe force TJ to force things toward Nick Herbig to where Huntley has nowhere to go. That's the kind of thing you need to do. You need to collapse this pocket on him. You can't allow it to happen. And you have to shut down that run. You can't let Huntley have that crutch, that run game, that to lean on, that crutch to lean on for the whole game, to where he knows he can check into that run and maybe get some yards, move the chains, stay ahead of the chains. And you don't want him to have that security. You want to force him into beating you with his arm over the top. You want to force Huntley into those big-time pass plays. You want to see what he can do down the field. And if you force him into those situations, I think you're going to have success, because more often than not, he's not going to hit them. You want to take him out of his game. You don't want to allow him to have that comfortable feeling inside that pocket. It has to be messy, and it has to be messy all day. You can't allow it to happen. You cannot allow that run game to get going and gash you time after time and take so much time off the clock. You can't allow that. You can't allow the Baltimore Ravens to play what type of formula you want to play against them. And that's what the Steelers need to do on offense. They need to do exactly that. Control the clock with Najee Harris and Jalen Warren. And remember that Mason Rudolph does have a big arm, and set up the play action pass. They need to eat the clock up. They need to slow this game down a little bit. And then those big splash plays to guys like George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, and maybe get Calvin Austin involved just a little bit. He's a speedster who can break the top off a defense. Maybe try to hit him once here. Maybe that Baltimore defense won't be looking to him as much as they're looking at a guy like George Pickens, who's had over 125 yards plus in the last 2 games with 2 touchdowns. George Pickens has been a monster the last 2 games. He has been a major key to Pittsburgh Steelers having success on the offensive side of the football. And if you're Mason Rudolph, I know that he is a quality guy to go to, but you got to spread it around Saturday against this Ravens team. You can't be predictable. Check in and out of run plays, pass plays, break your tendencies. Don't allow Baltimore to load up on you in any way. Keep them on their heels, especially if they're not at full strength, especially if they're sitting some guys. And that's the thing. The Baltimore Ravens right now have 16 guys on their injured list for the injury report for this Saturday's game. 2 of which are just rest. Lamar Jackson and Odell Beckham Jr., they're both just rests. But you have some key guys. You have Ronald Darby, illness. Zay Flowers, calf. Kyle Hamilton, knee. Arthur Millette, hip. So you know they're going to want to... They're going to want to rest some of these guys. Patrick Queen, dealing with that shoulder injury still. They're going to want to get these guys healthy for the playoffs. They want to be at full tilt when they go and try to defend that number 1 seed position and try to make some noise in this playoff race. You know they want to be full strength. So you know you're not going to see all of these players. You're going to have to see some, because there's only so many ways that you can take this roster and rest players. There's only so many things you can do. You can only bring up like 2 from the practice squad. So you're going to have to be a little bit eccentric in how you shuffle these guys around, how you move the depth chart around if you're Harbaugh in the Baltimore Ravens. And that could possibly work into the Steelers' advantage. But guys, I want to remind you that these are all professionals, and some of these guys that are going to be coming in and playing against the Steelers are playing for their football lives. They're playing for their football careers moving forward into 2024. And what does that do? A hungry guy, a guy that wants to eat. What does that make for an exciting game where guys are going to come out and give it their all? And that could spell trouble for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You have to be able to weather that excitement, weather that storm. You have to be able to control your emotions long enough to get that out of them, to get that juice out of them. These guys that are going to be coming in super fired up, ready to make plays. You need to be conservative early a little bit. Yes, take your chances at times, but you need to protect the football if you're Mason Rudolph. Not allow a big turnover. Not allow a big momentum switch to the Baltimore Ravens. You just can't afford to do it. You have to be safe at times, but you need to set up that play action pass and attack the edges when you can, when the moment is just right. Allow Najee and Jalen to eat. And if you're Mason Rudolph, the whole key to this game is to remain focused, remain poised in the pocket, remain steadfast at being calm, and just give your guys a chance. That's all you can do. Don't force the football. Don't try to be the hero if you're Mason Rudolph. And if you're Mason Rudolph and you're out there and you hear this by some slim chance, be you. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. Don't try to be the hero. Just facilitate the football to your playmakers and allow them to get downfield and keep you guys ahead of the chains. Don't force the football. That's when you get into trouble against teams that are going to be playing guys that have super high energy, that really are playing for their football life. You don't want to allow them to get going. You don't want to allow that excitement to build. You don't want to give them confidence as the game moves on. You don't want to be in a slugfest. You want to take control of this game early, running the football, short to intermediate throws with the occasional stretch of the football down the field. Keep the defense honest, yes, but get out there, get yourself a 10 to 14 point lead early. Attack that Baltimore defense. Don't allow the Baltimore offense to get in groove. Don't allow that to happen. You got to keep this all bottled up. And if you're the Steelers, this game means so much to you and you got to flush the nerves. You got to flush the nerves before the game. And I know it's a big game, and I know it means so much to that team. It means so much to that coaching staff, that organization as a whole. With the lack of playoff success in the last decade to 13 years, you have to be cautious on what you do. You can't waste this opportunity. And that brings me to my next point inside this video. And I want you guys to get excited for this game. This is going to be an awesome weekend of football. And hopefully it goes the Steelers' way. But this is what the Steelers really truly need to do if they find themselves in trouble. You have Kenny Pickett now coming in as the 2. He has won against the Baltimore Ravens late. And I don't want to see Mason Rudolph not succeed. I don't want to see him get benched, but you have a little bit of a safety valve, a guy that can make comebacks in the fourth quarter. So empty the holster. Don't leave any bullets in the chamber if you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. Fire everything you got. And if Mason does get in trouble by some chance, go to Kenny. Don't wait. Don't wait until it gets out of control. Don't pull Mason too quickly. But don't let it get out of control. Don't make it something that you can't overcome. If there's some trouble, allow Mason to work it out. Don't push him out the door. Don't make him feel like he's going to be pulled by every little mistake. Don't let him feel like that. Let him be comfortable. But no, if you're Mike Tomlin, you have to empty the chamber at all costs. You don't leave anything out there. You don't leave any trick plays in the books. You don't leave any players sit on the bench that could possibly help you. Nothing. You pour it all out on that football field. And if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you need to get pumped for this game, guys. And hopefully there's a lot of you that are going to M&T Bank Stadium and take that place over and give this Steelers team a little bit of a momentum push. Give them a little bit of hope that they have some people there behind them and it's not a total hostile environment. And that everybody in the world, everybody there isn't against them. Give them just a little bit. Hopefully we'll see a lot of you Steeler fans there. It don't typically happen in Baltimore, but we'll see how it rolls this time. Maybe Steeler fans are going to make that 3-hour drive from Pennsylvania down to the Baltimore area, 3.5 hours, and get there and really put on a show for the city of Baltimore. There's so much to talk about with this game, guys, and I'm so juiced up about it, as you could tell. I've been talking a million miles a minute. I've been fired up about it, going from point to point, and I hope you all bared with me a little bit and enjoyed it. But this Steelers team, like I said, guys, has a golden opportunity ahead of it, and yes, they need some help, but chances are they could get that help. They need the Buffalo Bills to lose to the Miami Dolphins, or they need the Jacksonville Jaguars to lose. Those are the two most the easiest situations in which the Pittsburgh Steelers gain a playoff berth. But first, they have to take care of business. And playing Saturday in that time slot, the late afternoon time slot, should give the Pittsburgh Steelers another advantage because they're not going to be out there scoreboard watching. They're not going to be out there looking up and saying, shit, that team ain't winning. Fuck, what do we got to do? They're going to have the ability to singularly focus on this football game, and that should give them a leg up in this battle. This is it, guys. This could be the end. This could be the end of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And like I said in the beginning, they're on life support. They need some help. So we got to hopefully get it. Hopefully we'll have some luck on our side. That's what we really need, some luck on the Steelers side. And they've had some luck here and there this season, and Mason Rudolph has started to play really well. Let's hope that that's not a fluke. Let's hope that he doesn't come back down to earth against the Baltimore Ravens and some of their backup players. Let's hope that Mason continues to climb and continues to show this franchise that he has the ability to lead this franchise as the QB1 even into the future. Let's hope that Mason has another solid performance. Let's hope that Mason stays within himself and doesn't try to be somebody he's not. That is so important for this football game. And the Steelers' defense needs to dig deep. And like I said last week whenever they went into Seattle, guys, I said a guy like Cameron Hayward, a guy that's on one of his last chances to ever get a shot at the Lombardi Trophy, that needs to be in the playoffs desperately to try to finish his career on a high note. He needs to stand up in front of this room, this whole team, and give them one hell of a motivational speech. And I know sometimes the rah-rah shit don't work. But when you get into these types of situations, it don't hurt, guys. It don't hurt at all. And let's hope that Cam Hayward gets up in front of this team and gets them to rally and play for him and really pours his heart out and says, like, look, guys, this is it for me, man. Like, I ain't got many more chances, and I need this. So bring it. And hopefully that motivates this team, motivates that defense to really take a stand. I know they've been injured. I know they've been battle tested. I know they've been left out there to die on the football field because the offense cannot produce throughout the season. The offense left them out there constantly for heavy minutes each game. And it really took its toll on this defense, as we've seen and as we see right now with the amount of injuries, the patchwork type defense that they have in the middle. Minkah being out, beat up this season. Minkah Fitzpatrick has been dealing with so many injuries, broken hand, hips, knees, just tons of injuries for Minkah. Hopefully he can get back. He's questionable, but he's going to have to practice today or yesterday. I don't know if he practiced or not. I don't think he did, but we'll see. He was a do not participate last time I looked, so I don't think you're going to see the services of Minkah Fitzpatrick this Sunday. Maybe if the Steelers are lucky and fortunate enough to make the playoffs, maybe you see a guy like Minkah back there then. But let's say this too. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers and you continue to climb this week and you put in another solid effort, your energy should be pretty high heading into the playoffs. And if you're an opposing team, and people can knock it and say the Steelers are terrible or whatever, but if they put together another performance like they have been the last 2 weeks and they look really stellar yet again, the amount of confidence that's going to build in that room, I wouldn't want to play the Steelers if I were an opposing team, especially if I was a divisional foe, a divisional opponent that they are familiar with. Because to have that level of excitement, that level of energy, that level of confidence could spell disaster for teams like the Browns and the Ravens who have built quality seasons. You don't want to back the dog into the corner, man. You don't. They could come out firing, and the Pittsburgh Steelers could be that dog, man. They could come out and really put on a show, and they could really be hitting their stride at the exact right time of the season. And they could have found, maybe, possibly, their quarterback in Mason Rudolph. All right, guys, let's wrap it up. This is Mike Drupp Sports. I'm Jason. Like, subscribe, share the videos. And until next time, peace.